Hi everybody, this is Tor Storley and I am back with another video. In this video we're going to take a look at how you can use qStudio to create interactive SQL notebooks, and you can connect them to different data sources including DuckDB. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you is where you can get a hold of qStudio, and if you go to timestored.com qStudio and download it here from this link. I probably put the link in this description for this video so you can get these links. If you go there and you go and you say, depending on which system you have, I use Windows, so you can see release 503 was on the 3rd of January 2026, and this is a free download, the free version. You can also download the higher grades of this, but then you have to start paying for it. There's also something called Pulse, but we're not going to cover that in this video. So we're going to use a qStudio, which you can download. So click the download button and you'll be able to take it from there. And as you can see here, you can read up on this. And there's also some nice tutorials you can go through. And you can see here, you can go through these, and there's also some videos that will explain how to use this. And there's a qStudio for DuckDB, as you can see here. So make sure you check that out by clicking on it, and it will show you a video here. However, some of this might be based on an earlier version of it. But if you want to look at databases like DuckDB, you can click in here, and you can start seeing information about how to create a new DuckDB database connector here, and or load an existing database. I'll take you through that when we open the qStudio. All right, so make sure you go and check the documentation in this location here. Then also by the way, when you download qStudio, it should also download the Java bindings that you're going to need to run this. So it includes Java when you download this. In addition to this, though, you're going to need a driver for DuckDB. And in order to get that driver, you should go to this Maven repository. And again, I'll include this link. But look for the latest driver. If it all depends on your DuckDB version. I'm using, 1.4.3 or something. And as you can see, this is the DuckDB jdbc driver here, 1.4.4.0. So you want to go here. And then what you want to do is you want to go into this file here where it says jar 76.9 megabytes under this file here. You click on that, you download that. And once you get that downloaded after you install qStudio, you want to go to where your user profile is. In my case, it's users stall. And then under qStudio, you'll have a folder called qStudio. You'll see this. And what you want to do is you want to double check this libs folder here. And when you open it, if you've done this right, if it doesn't put it in here, you need to take it from your download folder and make a copy and put it into this libs folder here. Now, once you have it in here, you should be good to go. That's the driver you're going to need. Okay? All right. So the final thing I want to show you then, once you get going on this, you can create notebooks like this. And you can see there's different sections. You can go to qStudio, you can go to examples. And in the examples, you're going to see they give you different things you can do with this. All right, so enough of this. Now you've seen where you can go and get a bunch of information. And you can see they show you different things you can do. And you can do grids. You can see nice grids. They show you code you can use like this. So there's an example notebook you can actually use. So what I'm going to do then is, now that you've seen this, I'm going to minimize this, and then I'm going to go into my qStudio so you can actually see it in action. All right, so let me open qStudio. And this is what it will look like if you, depending which theme you're using. You can also go and change the themes. Now, I can't remember, is it under preferences maybe? Settings, preferences, something like this. So once you open these preferences, you can see appearance, and you can choose different themes. So you can go light, and then you'll see what it will look like. Now, I happen to like it with the darker theme, so let me put it back here. All right, so you can see what it will look like here. So you can set your own preference how you want to do this. Okay, so I made it a little more readable here. Now, if you look here, you're going to set up a server, and then you can look at the connection, and then from there you can read tables that are involved. So I already created one here. So in order to create a new server, you right-click and you say Add Server like this, and then you get this screen. There's a host and there's a URL. So we're going to figure out which data source we're going to use. As you can see, there are many of them here, and the one that I'm using is DuckDB. So when you set that up, you click on DuckDB. It's a DuckDB database, driver, I should say, and it's located in this location here. And then you prefix it with this jdbc : DuckDB : and then the path. And again, you have forward slashes because that's the way these programs work, like in Python. Then you can give it an alias, so it's easier to refer to instead of this. That means that's what is going to show up here on the top left, like stocksdb comes from this one here. And that's it. And then you can test it, and connection works, say OK, and you save it. I already saved it, so that's fine. Up here now you can see you can choose between these different databases. So I have one for stock returns, which is pointing to different tables. And I got this stocksdb thing. If there's any tables in it, you're going to see it down here. Now, I don't think there's any tables in here. You can see this one has tables and this one has tables. All right, so we'll leave it at stocksdb. So you can just click on these and then you'll see the structure. And then, of course, you can go in and get the field names, etc. I created this DuckDB test here. And as you can see here, I'm using regular Markdown. Here is a H1 type of header. Here's an H3 type of header, and if you're familiar with HTML. And what you do is when you're creating stocks, you do these backticks, 3 backticks and 3 backticks at the end. Then you can say SQL. And then what you do is you type in the type you want to use. There's different types. There is something called time series. There's grid. There is line. So as you can see here in this query, I use different techniques. And we're going to look at this a little more when we open this up. Also, what you do is you say server equals and whatever the alias of the database you're pointing to is DuckDB in this case. Then it's a matter of writing your SQL queries. So you can see here I'm just in DuckDB terms, I'm describing this table. Here I'm selecting the symbols, symbol, timestamp, open, high, low, close, volume from stocks where the symbol is this, and I'm ordering by the timestamp. Now, one thing you want to be careful with is artificial line return, so it breaks the query. So in this case, I put it on the same line just to make sure it works. Sometimes you're having problems with these when you have like multi-lines like this. So you make sure you test the query and see if it actually comes up. And what happened here and now is that I have these different queries and they do different things. So here is like a 50-day moving average for this stock, this Palantir stock. And as you can see, I'm formatting the timestamp into a date format. Another thing you're going to notice when you do the formatting within here, when you have the name you want to use for this column, followed by this formatting string, this one will actually format this particular one in a certain way. These have meaning inside here. So when you go to this page here, if you go to Docs, they will show you this example page here with all these different displays, the charts, etc. And they're interactive, as you can see, when you hover over them. And what you can also do is when you choose one of these, let's say we choose this table here. Now you can see a table with different layouts here. And down here you can see there's a simple table query. Here's a little more advanced one. You can see how they set it up. Notice they followed the name of the column with this _SD_tag in this case. So what does that mean? Well, if you go to column formatters, you can see here that this is the type of things you can do with these columns. And they should also give you the postfix. So you can see here _SD_number. This will give you this piece. And they also show an example of what it will look like. So for example, if you want to format as %, you can do this _SD_%. Okay, so be aware of how you can actually do this. And here they give you some more example. Another thing you should be careful with is that when they show all these KD plus examples, they have their own special way of writing the syntax for the queries. Those are not equivalent to DuckDB. When you're getting all this kind of stuff, it's not necessarily the same way you would do it in DuckDB. All right, so be aware of that. Also, you can see at the different types of displays. Here is a sparkliness. So there's code snippets you can look for here and go through, okay? All right, so I just want to point that out. All right, so I'm back in this DuckDB_test MD, and notice I did it as a Markdown file. And you have some text, and then you have these SQL queries, as you can see. And what I did was I did some different metrics. Here is relative strength index using only DuckDB syntax. So you can see here I'm using a CTE, and I'm doing a lag. So this is a Windows function ordered by timestamp. So I'm taking the lag of the close price from the close price, and that will give you the diff, right? And then you can also do things like this, where you do another Windows function, but you are lagging it by 13 rows preceding, meaning 2 weeks. This is a 2-week rolling window, in other words. Here you can see you do some additional formatting, and I'll make this code available and you can study it on your own because I don't want to spend too much time on the actual code here. Also, you can do rising prices with no volume type of things, where you do a candlestick, or you run this kind of code to get it to display according to what you're trying to accomplish. So it's a little more important to model these queries in DuckDB than you find in some of these other connectors. They might have something built in for it. Here is a little more manual, if you will, like you're building arrays, etc. Okay, so here's like a heat map. So some of this code is just generic code. It has nothing to do with my stocks database. It's just sample code. There's also this Markdown example page you can go to, and it's available out there on qStudio pages. And you can see different types of way of writing Markdown. There's also the DuckDB examples page, which is coming with qStudio. So there is a few of these guys here, and here's just some queries that I put in here. So, all right, again, you can also create SQL queries, like SQL files, as you can see here. So you can actually run regular SQL as long as you have a connection to the database. So if, for example, if I highlight this and I hit Control Enter, you're going to see the results showing up like this. These are called pages. They will show up when it actually translates this into HTML. So when you click this pulse button up here, open notebook, you see this? When you click here, it will open it up in a browser window. And here is what it looks like, as you can see. So there was a render error here. And if I try it again here, well, nothing happened. So this is the one that I was experimenting with to build these different spark lines and all that kind of stuff. So this is just a basic page, and you can see view the code by clicking on this button. And up here you can see what it will look like. For example, I centered the word tables and the data grid with icons. And you can shut that on and off as you need it too. Here is DuckDB_test we just looked at. And you can see here is this table. And if you scroll down, you can see some of this is formatted nicely. 2 decimals here, for example. You could also probably put $signs if you wanted to. This one is not formatted for the date function. And if you look further down here now, you can see here's some charts that I created, and you can see this is based on one stock only, and this is the Palantir stock, as you can see. You can see different types of charts. Here's the moving average, the 50-day moving average. Again, I have not formatted the dates here. Here is like a relative strength index chart. Here is the time series chart, you can see. And you can see all the stocks up there. Those are the rate of returns you see. They could have also been formatted as percentage. And down here, you have a Bollinger Band. So here I put a Bollinger Band indicating 2 standard deviation around the actual curves, as you can see here. So it measures basically the variations and whether it falls within 2 standard deviation. And here's just some random charts that I created based on some data that I found, and just to give you an idea of what you can actually do here. So you can see you can filter, etc. Here is this DuckDB examples page that comes with the download if you want to just go and look at it. And this one shows you all kinds of things you can do with it. And it uses this qDuckDB database that holds all this data. So here you can read up on this. It's just too much for me to go through here. So it didn't create these. So if I try to refresh it, will it do it? No, it didn't do it. Okay. But here you can see a nice chart where you have the statuses are nice green and orange and so forth. The symbol has colors. and you have percentage bars, you have percentages. That's basically how this works. This demo here, you can see, if you look at the code here, this is the type you do. You do a select statement like this, and then you have, actually I had to work on this to get this to work because of DuckDB and so forth. Wasn't too thrilled with when I did this originally. This is sample code, so you can look at it yourself and figure out how you want to format it on your own. Anyways, that is my demonstration of this qStudio and SQL notebooks, and I hope you like this video, and if you do, please give me a like and consider subscribing to my channel. That'd be fantastic. Look forward to see you again in the next video.